Thank you, Kate. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for attending this year's Dean panel. I've had the honor to host this for third year now. So we have some new faces, and I'm excited to introduce them to you. And also, we're doing a new format. We're usually at tables, and this is a little bit more informal, which I like. Some wise person yesterday, I don't know if it was Iris, said, make sure you wear your cool socks. So for my Gen 102 faculty, I have my Don't Ask Me, I Still Use AOL socks, which my primary email account for my personal life is still an AOL account that I created when I was 19. And it has my birth year in it, which is not so cool anymore. So yeah. So we'll see socks, but we're also here to answer your questions. So faculty, staff, others submitted questions for the Dean panel. Morgan, Kate, and I went through them, and we came up with a list of questions to ask our deans today. So before we begin, though, I want everybody to introduce themselves. Can we start with you, Justin?
Yeah, my name is Justin Harrison, Dean of the Division of General Education.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jorge Cardenas. I'm one of the Associate Deans in the Forbes School of Business and Technology.
Good morning. Hi, my name is Pamela Hardy, and I'm an Associate Dean in the College of Health, Human Services, and Science.
Good morning, everyone. Eric Klein, Dean of our Honors College.
I'm Adam Selhorst, Executive Dean for the College of Liberal Arts.
I am Jeremy Moreland, Vice Provost and Executive Dean for the new College of Doctoral Studies.
Good morning, Tony Farrell, Executive Dean for the College of Education.
Thank you, and welcome to our new panelists. It's exciting to have you here this year. And we're going to kick it off. We're going to start with the interesting things, the things you really want to know. And one of those is our split from Bridgepoint Education. So that is the first question. What are your hopes and expectations with the impending split from Bridgepoint and the transition to nonprofit status? So Tony, I'm going to kick it off to you to begin.
Thanks, Jeff. I think I was asked to lead off because I have a reputation for going on, and so I'm guessing that you want to get me out of the way so that I don't monopolize the rest of the session. You know, one of the things that I would say after listening to Craig's keynote yesterday and the ambiguity of the split, not knowing what the future holds, I completely agree with that. However, I started to ideate on the possibilities of what we have in store. And for me, there is a tremendous amount of excitement and anticipation from my faculty in the college about the possibilities. And, you know, personally speaking, from a College of Ed perspective, I just, you know, I logged into USDOE and looked at grants, you know, yesterday in my field of study, which is special education. $83 million in soft money in grants was distributed last year. So this split will allow us to go after and pursue external funds that maybe we haven't had an opportunity to apply for or to really think about. I think about charter schools. I think about lab schools. I think about the opportunity to innovate and to be different in the space. One of the areas that I also think about is our story and the qualitative perspective that we all have here as employees of Ashford, and the work that we do and how mission-driven we are. And I think it would be disingenuous to say that sometimes there's a bias towards Ashford based upon our tax status. And I find that completely unfair, and I spend a lot of time talking to people, my peers, about the things that we do. I think that potentially the split will allow us to tell a story that is a little bit different than what we've told in the past. I think there's going to be great change in the dynamics between Ashford and Bridgepoint. I think as in the past, you know, we have been one, and I've heard the statement, we are one until we're two, until we're not, or until we're two, and I agree with that. The biggest thing for me is that there will be some change in the dynamics of our relationship with Bridgepoint. And I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing or a good thing. It'll just be different. I read there's an author that I really, really like. His name is Michael Fullan. I don't know if any of you've ever heard or read Michael Fullan stuff, and he talks about in a book in 2008, he talks about the 6 secrets to change. And for us, I think the biggest thing that he emphasizes is that you have to love your employees or love your peers. And I think that's the big thing that we have to do, is continue to hold our faculty and staff in high regard, and realize that Bridgepoint has to do the same thing. And so, in wrapping up, because I know I'm going way too long, is that it's going to be second order change, and we're going to have to deal with that, and we're going to have to be fluid, flexible, and really, I think, be excited about the future. So,
Thank you.
there you go.
Anyone else want to chime in?
Sure, I agree with Tony. I think I expect our brand and our image to improve. Sadly, we do get, bias because of our for-profit status. But I can speak for our program chairs and faculty that go out to different conferences and talk to students and prospective students, and they do, feel that bias. So, hopefully, when we do become a nonprofit, their efforts will pay off a little bit better.
Anyone else? All right, so a lot of excitement about it, especially for faculty. And that leads me into our second question. How do you see the role of faculty changing as Ashford becomes a nonprofit entity? And Pamela, I would love for you to kick us off with that question.
Awesome. This is an awesome question. First and foremost, faculty, as we know, need to have the degrees. We understand that. But as we move into the nonprofit status, there's some other things that faculty are going to need. And I'm going to have to put my foot down because this is definitely very exciting for me. When we look at some of the skill sets, not only do we have to ensure that they are aligned properly with the courses and all of the other things that they will have to do, but they need to have industry experience to help our students be more successful in their endeavors in their education. This would be thirdly, we need to see them as coaches, mentors, to be able to tell their story, to come alongside and to give those nudges when those nudges are appropriate. But also, we need to see faculty partner with the community. As someone who has worked in the nonprofit arena for many, many years, you are not alone. We have to do this together. So we're going to have to take a different view in how we see the outside and ensure that we know what is out there for our students. So we have to take a proactive approach. And so this is very, very exciting. I cannot wait. Just to see, and I do want to say this, we're going to have to also hire people that are personable, that have passion for what they do, and maybe for some of us to think back, why did we get into this industry in the first place? If it is not passion that drives you, you're in the wrong business.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else?
Yeah, Pamela, I agree with everything you're saying wholeheartedly. And I think I would add, too, that while a lot of things will change, my hope is that a lot of things also don't change. I mean, we are a teaching institution. We pride ourselves on giving our students a high quality curriculum and educational experience. And we expect our faculty, our associate faculty, and our full-time faculty to be distinguished in the classroom and to be doing everything they can to bond with students and to provide them the best learning experience and best student outcomes possible. So, I agree with everything that's been said about, that we have some new opportunities for innovation and new opportunities for new programs and things like that. And yet at the same time, I hope we stay true to that aspect of our mission, which is to really focus on being exemplary faculty and giving our students exemplary learning experiences.
I love that. And with that said, I think about the stories. I was at the Forbes School of Business Summit, and there was a gentleman who was teaching, and the student thought he was a bot. when he began to tell his story. We have to begin to tell our stories. And I think that was one of the things our keynote stated yesterday, that there are a multiplicity of stories and everybody in this room has a story, and so do our students. And so I agree with what Dr. Klein has said, that we need to continue with the excellence, but there's some add-ons that we need to do and start looking for faculty that have those add-ons that will be able to meet our students where they are, because they come with a wealth of knowledge, and we need to acknowledge that and be ready to be creative and innovative, because as we become a nonprofit, if we are not creative and innovative, well, I'll leave it there.
Thank you. Anyone else want to talk about the role of faculty as we transition? Oh, okay. So the other big news for this year is the merger of Ashford University and the University of the Rockies. So that leads me into our third question. With the integration of University of the Rockies with Ashford, what opportunities will there be for Ashford faculty to work with doctoral students? How are doctoral programs being integrated into the colleges? So a natural lead for that would be Jeremy.
Sure, thanks, Jeff. Yeah, absolutely. So for those who aren't familiar with University of the Rockies, University of the Rockies was a graduate institution for about 20 years, serving master's and doctoral students in fields like psychology and education. So I'm going to take those questions in reverse. In terms of how programs are being integrated into the university, the master's programs from University of the Rockies have been integrated into the colleges where it makes sense and where there are existing communities to help those disciplines continue to really be able to grow. Now, when it comes to the doctoral programs, we've actually created a new unit, the College of Doctoral Studies, specifically for all of the doctoral programs here at Ashford, which would include those that we've brought over from the University of the Rockies, and then those that may be coming down the road soon. So watch for more news there. Pretty excited about that. In terms of opportunities for faculty to be involved, yes, please. The line forms here. I think the quickest and I'd argue the most rewarding way, and maybe the most different way that faculty can get involved with doctoral students, will be through service on dissertation committees as committee members and also as dissertation chairs. So if you've done that before, you know how enriching that experience can be. If you've completed a dissertation before, you know how important that person and that group of people were in your life. And how they can really help you make decisions that have major impact on how you go about pursuing scholarly inquiry and how you leverage those insights for your own professional growth. So I would definitely encourage you to reach out if you have any interest in getting a feel for what that might look like, committee service or service as a chairperson. I'd love to hear from you, and we're definitely welcoming that engagement right away. And then as demand grows for course instruction, we'll definitely be putting a call out there as well.
What are some of your largest doctoral programs that you're bringing over?
So we have sort of an interesting portfolio. We have relatively traditional PhD programs, for example, a PhD in psychology. And then we also have what we term practitioner programs. So the correlate there would be our PsyD program, our Doctor of Psychology. And if you're familiar with the Doctor of Psychology, it's actually been around for quite a while, and it was created for those who didn't necessarily want to go into the professoriate. They didn't want to necessarily be academics. However, a lot of PsyDs in turn have been, but instead really had an interest in the clinic, in focus, and in practice. So we, of course, have had many clinical students come up through University of the Rockies over the years. We aren't teaching that program at this time any longer because of the ground component. But we have quite a few PsyD students who still are continuing to pursue their program. We also have an interesting specialization within the PsyD focused in sport and performance. And a lot of people are surprised to learn about that and learn about the connection between sport performance and psychology. So if you're surprised to hear that, I'd be happy to talk with you more about it today in person or online soon.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else talk about the Rockies programs or how you've integrated those programs into your college? Forbes, I think you have some, help integrated some of those master's programs in.
Yes.
Great. All right. So speaking of new programs, what is your plan or vision for new programs in the next 2 years? How are faculty selected to teach in those new programs? So Jorge, I'm going to kick that one to you.
Sure. So the last 2 years, our Forbes School of Business and Technology faculty have been designing and developing technology programs. So the rationale behind developing those types of programs is a number of research, including actually some research from the Bureau of Labor Statistics that says that from 2016 to 2026, there'll be a 13% increase in total jobs in the tech sector, which represents about 500,000 jobs, which is pretty amazing. It's outpacing any other job sector. So obviously Ashford and the School of Business and Technology would like to prepare students for those jobs. So this year we launched the BS in Information Technology and the BS in Computer Technology, Computer Software Technology. And this next year we hope to launch a BS in Data Analytics, a BS in Cyber and Data Security, and there's one more, BS in Mobile App Development as well. We're also looking to develop some master's degrees in technology management. So that's the technology programs. With respect to other programs, we're also looking to offer a Master's of Arts in Management, as well as a Master of Arts in Leadership to provide graduate study opportunities to our undergraduates in those specific disciplines. The more innovative program that is not like current programs that we offer is we're doing a little bit of research in aviation management. So there's a lot of employees in aviation, in the aviation industry that have a lot of training, but they don't have 4-year degrees. So we're looking at possibly offering an undergraduate program in aviation management. We won't be teaching students how to fly airplanes or helicopters, but every other job related to aviation.
Oh, awesome. What other new programs are cooking up in the colleges?
Philosophy.
Philosophy for managers. Yes, that's the program we really want. Any new programs in health, education, or liberal arts underway? Under wraps, okay. All right.
Jeff, we've got sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. We have a few that we have currently launched that have not been promoted externally yet. One is we have our Education or Educator Preparation Institute, our first teacher licensure program, internal here at Ashford. That's an internal program that is approved by the state of Florida, and we have an internal cohort of 10 students that are Ashford employees, and our hope is that will morph into a Master's of Science in Teaching that will be able to enroll students externally. Additionally, we have the Master's of Science in Instructional Design with Technology, our competency-based program, and that is a cohort of 1. In fact, our 1 student is sitting here right now, and we are, it's a soft launch, and we are hoping that once we are able to work out all the kinks of this program, that this will also be a program that we launch externally. But we're really excited about the opportunities to look at new and innovative programs, and working with our counterparts at Bridgepoint, looking at programs that make sense in the space and will be a benefit to both Ashford and our students.
Awesome.
And Jeff, we have 2 master's programs coming down the pike, hopefully 2019, which will be the Masters of Nursing and the Masters of Information Management. So we're really excited about those. We have a lot of other ideas and things that will be coming that will do with public health later on down the pike, but we're really looking forward to those 2 programs. And I don't know if this is a great time to actually mention it, but one of the things that is in place, it's not a degree program per se, but it's called the Community Learning Center. Lord, I'm so nervous. and I'm the one who actually had this vision, and I have to say our executive dean is so amazing. She took a chance on this vision, and it's called, I can't even think, Community Learning Centers. Am I saying that right, Ashley? Okay. Well, what it is, each program has a learning center, a learning community. That is what it's called. It just came to me. And we're in the process of actually making sure that one of these or 2 go live before December 30th. And what this is, it takes into account every function of student engagement, cognitive, behavioral, and there's 3, and I just lost the other one. But when we designed it, we thought about what does it take to engage our students? Well, it takes for our faculty to become ambassadors, so our faculty are ambassadors, and they will come alongside the students and ensure that they get what they need. Now, the students are broken down into 5 regions, which will say for instance, I live in Georgia, and I have the ability to communicate with anyone and everyone in my region, and of course, across the other 5 regions. They will be able to put internships, jobs, community, things that are happening in their community. And then we have an internal place where the faculty will give all of the announcements and everything. There's videos, there's everything. It is an additional piece that is missing. And we learn, and research states, students who are in learning communities actually are retained and actually graduate early on time. So look for that. I don't know where else I could put this, but this is an exciting measure, and we definitely have a military component, and we have reached out to Ashley and Heather and everyone that is and Wendy Sikora that are student facing to ensure that we have the applicable information that is going to serve our military as well. So we're very, very excited for it, and I can barely sit up here. Awesome. So yeah, it's an awesome thing.
Thank you. So with a lot of the change going on right now, it really brings some new opportunities for collaboration. At present, though, it seems like the colleges and Division of Gen Ed operate somewhat independently from each other. How might the move to nonprofit impact the establishment of joint projects, initiatives, or activities that foster a greater sense of unity and a new opportunity to define who we are as a university? Pretty meaty question. Adam?
Yeah, I think to start, I think there's a maybe a mischaracterization that we don't work together very often and that we're very siloed and things like that. And I think it's for a few reasons. One, a lot of it happens behind closed doors. So the associate faculty may never see it, even some of the faculty. But I mean, we all meet, bi-weekly. The whole group of everyone in President's Cabinet meets monthly. And, we're sharing what's going on in the colleges, and people will speak up and say, oh, we love what you're doing. We want to do that too. There's a lot of sharing there. The faculty work really closely together in the Faculty Senate. So I think there is a lot of really collaboration going on that just isn't maybe seen on the surface. And then secondly, I think a lot of that is because of just kind of the evolution of the university too. So, sitting up here and looking at all the deans, every college, I've been here 7 years, which, in the span of things isn't too long, but in the Ashford world is an eternity. Just saying that every college since I've been here has seen at least multiple deans, if not 3 and 4 deans over 7 years. Faculty, we've seen huge faculty turnovers. This is 6 and 7 years ago. We used to see that often. Well, I think the university's really stabilized over the last, 5-7 years, and now we see more stability in leadership, more stability in the faculty pool. We have our best faculty now working for us, and so I think that just that we've started to see a lot more collaboration because everybody seems to know each other better and get along really well. So that's really promising. As far as going not for profit, I think it offers a few other opportunities, but I don't think it necessarily will be this huge dramatic change. I think, as Tony was talking about grant funding and stuff like that, if Tony's working on a grant for science stuff, I'd be super interested. I know I would want to jump in on things like that. I know if Tony's faculty working on stuff, my faculty might be interested, Justin's faculty might be interested. So you might start to see, a lot of collaboration as far as that goes. But overall, probably not this huge change. We're always trying to do a better job to work together and to bring that in. A good example, we're developing a new kind of intro environmental science class right now, and my associate deans, first thing they said was, hey, let's go to the other colleges and see, can we integrate a business component, right? Environmental science is very interdisciplinary. Let's put a business component in the class. Let's put an education and a healthcare component in the class. So it is starting to happen, and I think it'll continue to grow over the years.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah, I think just another example of collaboration is our Honors College. And while it's technically housed in our College of Liberal Arts, those 6 courses were developed by 13 faculty across Division of General Education in each of the 4 colleges. And in fact, the courses were developed, each course individually was developed by 2 to 3 faculty members of different colleges intentionally to get that collaboration. And still today, all the students are from across each of the different colleges. They inform kind of the future direction of Honors College, but also each individual course is taught by a different faculty member in a different college. So I was just looking at it this year, our Honors 470 course has been taught by a member of each of our 4 different colleges. So, I think that's just another good example of collaboration.
Great example. Thank you.
Yeah, so I agree with Adam. I think we do get along, and I think it's gotten way better over time, and I hope it will in the future too. Okay, so I'll leave it there. I think some other things we should do, writing across the curriculum in all the colleges. I think all programs should have at least one writing intensive course. We could work with our composition faculty to develop that, to integrate that assignment. Same with critical thinking. Quantitative reasoning is highly underdeveloped in our students, in my opinion. And could be reinforced and mastered in even non-quantitative programs, and should be. And then some examples from Doge, Debbie Hillwood and Julie Nidifer have been working on an entry point course for business-specific students. We'd like to make entry point courses. I won't promise anything, and Debbie and Julie are probably like, no, but we'd like to integrate more of the business, health, and education curriculum into Gen Ed as well. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for future work.
One final thing I'll say too, and this is directly in relation to that not-for-profit piece. So one thing we've been trying to do for a while is, so liberal arts, a lot of our degrees, you go be a history major a lot of times to go be a history teacher, right? And so we've been trying to work with Tony to set up, let's have, maybe you can major in history, but you leave with a teaching credential, or, if you want to teach high school history or something like that. And we're not currently able to do that. And a lot of that has to do with tax status and stuff like that. So that's an area where hopefully when we go not-for-profit, we'll be able to get that better integrated. So you want to be a history teacher, you want to be a science teacher, an English teacher, then you can go take the English degree and the history degree and whatever else. And hopefully also, you're taking classes that are shared between us and College of Ed, and you're leaving with the credential you need, or further along that path to becoming a teacher.
Awesome idea. Okay, so with the integration of the University of the Rockies, we now have a stronger than ever graduate culture. Jeremy, can you talk to us more about how you see this graduate culture changing and evolving?
Sure, absolutely. So that is something that we're very excited about, being able to bring and integrate into Ashford University. Again, that sort of 20 years of history focusing at the master's and doctoral level. And, a really important part of that graduate culture is sort of understanding and leveraging scholarly inquiry. So all of our doctoral students finish a major project, which is sort of an understatement, either a dissertation, which is a pretty conventional way of providing a summative assessment of one's endeavors, or a more recent alternative that we've developed for our PsyD students and intend to leverage for future practitioner programs as well in the areas of education and management, a little foreshadow there, is called the Applied Doctoral Project. And in that area, students are liberated a little bit from some of the conventional restrictions, frankly, of the empirical dissertation, in ways that they can focus on improving programs and application and so forth, but still doing so in a way that's rooted in theory. And, that paired along with the approaches that our students have taken to dissertations, I think something that's special about those is very often they're bringing inspiration from their practice in their communities back home. Our students are nationwide. So, first, I think it's important to acknowledge already here at Ashford, there's a really strong tradition among faculty of engaging in research in ways that improve teaching and learning. And conversations like this conference right here are, of course, important touch points for sharing that. I think something that we'll be able to bring to the scholarly community that exists here and more broadly graduate culture is leveraging scholarly inquiry in a way that responds to the communities that our students are serving back home, the disciplines that they're looking to grow deeper in, and ultimately maybe connecting with other communities of practice in ways to sort of reach across to students who might still be in bachelor's or master's programs, but knowing that we want to be able to continue to serve them as they continue to grow as lifelong learners and as their needs evolve across their career for, eventually, a doctoral program. So just a couple of thoughts there from the new guy.
Thanks. Anybody else want to talk about graduate culture? Okay, you're the keystone for that part. Okay, here's another meaty question. What is the discussion around next steps being taken to address the primary reasons students express for dropping out? Those reasons include time management, family issues, financial resources, transfer credits, and technology. How might we assist them with these issues?
Yeah, I'll take that one too. So I think, so I'm a good person to answer this question because when I started here 7 years ago, I was coming from a very traditional background. I was teaching traditional students. I had come from traditional universities, and my thought process was very draconian. Like, oh, something was 1 second late. We need to teach responsibility. Like, we need to, you need to be doing your assignments on time because your boss is going to make you do that, and on and on and on. And then over the years, I've started to hear these stories, right? I got divorced this week. I had a husband pass away. I had a wife pass away. I had a child pass away. I've been in the hospital for 4 weeks and still doing my assignments, but not, necessarily on time. And you start to realize that these aren't 18-year-olds that, stayed too late at a frat party and that's why they, missed their assignment. Life is getting in the way and they're still persevering. And so we start to see the real reasons why people are struggling are more of these life events, not because they're lazy, not because of, and so we've started to, I know in the College of Liberal Arts, I'll speak kind of for us, we're starting to really look at these very strongly. How do we get students through with these issues? How do we have empathy through these things? And so we've started to do a lot of pilot work on, one thing is student communities. How can we get students together so that they're sharing these kind of personal scenarios with each other, which help them build support and get them through? How do we get faculty and student engagement increased? And some of that is through things like chatbots and Ask Ashford that Jeff and Justin have been integral in, as well as a lot of other people that help to answer those kind of fluff questions like, when's my assignment due and stuff like that. So the faculty can really have more meaningful conversations with students. The big Finish Line project that came out of Doge last year is a massive one, right? That we're finding students that are running into these scenarios where they are, they're having a life issue that's getting in the way, causing them to leave. And we're reaching out to them and saying, hey, maybe we can give you an extra couple weeks, work with you. And we've adopted that in COLA, and we've already started to see, massive amounts of students that are having these issues and that we're able to help to work with them. So I think expanding these kind of processes, getting the word out there for anybody that's kind of a new hire so that they understand, and, it took me years to figure this out. If we can kind of get that message out there, these aren't traditional students. They need extra help and extra support in very specific ways. It's not because they're dumb or because they're slow. It's just because, life is different for them than it was for a lot of us when we were 18 and going to college, right? And so I think all the colleges are really doing this and working together. One college develops something, we share it in that collaboration mode. People that love it go, yeah, we're gonna take that on, and it's really starting to help, I think, across the university.
Excellent. Anything else want to add on that?
One thing to all the associate faculty and everybody out there, as Adam mentioned, we do reach out to students who don't complete their week 5 papers, and there were about 1,000 of them who didn't write back, and I didn't know what happened to them. So I went through all of them, and 650 of them, you all out there, accepted papers late, beyond the 3-day late penalty. And so I think I just want to say thanks to everybody, and that I think we do have a culture where our faculty, 650 out of 1,000 papers, like, you graded the paper late beyond your contractual duty. And so I just really appreciate everything that people have done, and I hope that we can continue to foster that empathetic and caring culture for our students. So thank you.
I want to add something that Adam said. One of the things that we also created in the College of Health, Human Services, and Science is a platform for new faculty. That platform will teach what we would like, how we would like our faculty to be compassionate. So we have two platforms, 101 and 102. So when they come in addition to the NFE, in addition to their orientation, to get them on track, to ensure that they are paying attention to our military students. And I know we can go on, and Manon, yes, you're smiling over there because she definitely helped us get that platform up, and we are grateful. And we don't do anything in isolation. It takes a team, and we have so many people to thank that we get a vision and we understand. And as a military spouse, I understand I am not a traditional student, never have been and never taught traditional students. Working in a nonprofit, you have to go with what is going on with people. They have different issues, and we need to teach our faculty how to deal with those issues, how to grade creativity, how to understand that everybody doesn't have your life and has not been given the things you've been given. Their lifestyle is different. So if somebody says, hey, I can't get on the internet because I'm in Afghanistan, believe them, and not say, oh, they're getting shot at. I've heard this. And we have come a long way. We have a long way to go. But I'm grateful to this university because we are on the cutting edge, and I just thank you.
So one of those support systems we've implemented this year is Civitas. So what are your impressions of the Civitas rollout, and where do you see faculty having the greatest impact using the system?
Yeah, I think Civitas is great. I've used it myself. I think the biggest impact for me that Civitas has is it gives me direct visual examples of students who are struggling or who are not engaged. So rather than thinking that you know something or intuiting it or something, you actually do know because you can see the red lines and you can see when the student logged in and things like that. I think I know we have some more questions, so I'll try to go quickly, but to follow up on what everybody's saying here, I think that everything that Pam and everybody said is the way that it can be used effectively. If you have a student who's struggling, who needs more time, reach out to them, connect to the advising. I think that's another really important part so that you're both communicating effectively in the same way to the student. They're helping with the life issues and the support maybe. You're helping more with getting the student up to speed on the assignments. And then I know that we've recently rolled out some templates that allow you to promote tutoring to students. So if you feel like a student needs tutoring, and this relates to another later question, but use that to get the students in alignment with the support they need.
Any other thoughts on Civitas and the use of Civitas?
I would echo what Justin said regarding direct access to the student advisors. You know, a lot of our full-time faculty have relationships with staff within our university, but our associate faculty often don't. So for those associate faculty listening right now, please remember that that tool is available through Civitas. It's a couple clicks to get right to the advisor and send them a direct email, or you can even email the student and CC the advisor so he has visibility into your communications with those students.
So that's an example of a digital tool that we're using now to support our students. But where do you see technology evolving or transforming the student experience in the next few years?
Yeah, technology is really changing the landscape of higher education, isn't it? Craig talked a lot about technology yesterday, and actually he recommended a YouTube video, I think it was EDU at 2025, and I happened to listen to it last night on my drive home, and I do highly recommend. It's about a 15-minute video. You just literally go on YouTube and you type in EDU at 2025. But yeah, the future of higher education is changing. Technology is at the forefront of that change. There's a lot of evolution in this area, as well as a lot of competition, to do things smartly and strategically. I think Civitas, as you mentioned, is a great tool. And I think one of the things that Civitas touches on, which a lot of technologies are smartly doing, is how do we kind of move toward that pedagogical emphasis on active learning? And also, how do we create stronger bonds with our students, both from a faculty to student perspective as well as a student to student perspective? And I think this is the area where I've seen the most amount of growth in the 5 or 6 years that I've been at Ashford, or close to 7 years. Adam and I started the same day. But also there's some areas for opportunity there. And so I even think about some of the courses that we've developed and some of the things that maybe even weren't that possible or feasible 5 or 6 years ago. So for instance, group work and group collaboration, that was something that was not really highly emphasized back in 2012, 2013. And now we're starting to be able to do a little bit more with technology, getting students to work collaboratively together. Another example is learning communities, and Pamela touched on that, and for students to really be active and engaged and feel like they're part of a community here at Ashford. And then finally, one additional example that just popped in my mind related to active learning is the ability to give students more instantaneous feedback than them waiting, however many hours for the faculty member to respond. And some of that feedback can be in the form of badges and certificates and types of things like that to provide reinforcement and to encourage students to continue that in-depth learning that they're doing.
I certainly agree with everything that Eric shared. I think the biggest use of technology that I see now and moving forward is the formative nature of data that we're able to really use within the classroom. I use this with my faculty, the statement all the time that we have, as far as data and student success, we've always had an autopsy approach. Like we would wait until after the course is done, after the quarter's done, and then we would go back and try to reassess what went right, what went wrong, what can we do to change. Now, when I see like Civitas and some of the dashboards that we have, we're able to make instantaneous decisions and drive instruction that is based on interventions for students to help them be successful now. So when a student is unsuccessful in a course or fails a course or drops a course, and we go back, or 3 months later and we try to go back and figure out why, we do that student a disservice. And I'm going to go back and touch a little bit on what Adam said about our changes as far as student success. This all encompasses Civitas, this use of data, technology, this disposition of caring that I think that you see here within this institution, and that we care about student success, and that all of these things that you are seeing that we are applying into Ashford right now, and then Ashford as a nonprofit, and Ashford 2 years from now, is all based on what can we do to support student success to the maximum capacity. And it's exciting to me. And I think if you really look at the impact of what we're doing for students, a degree changes lives. And that is why I come to work every day. I mean, obviously to hang out with these guys, but also to really impact students. So technology, going back to the question, technology helps support that.
Thank you, Tony. So what you just said really loops well into our next question. So students in their programs often appear to lack mastery in the fundamentals, things like writing, APA, how to research. What could Ashford faculty and staff do better to support these students? Justin, can you kick us off?
Yeah, so the first thing I would say is nobody's a master of anything. That you can improve every single day, and all of us should be improving every day. I'm certainly not the writer that I want to be or the researcher that I want to be. So I would say, first of all, what is your definition of mastery for that person in their environment? Secondly, what are you doing to help them get better in your class, right? So if we have a student who doesn't know how to research, what should we do as educators? Anyone? Blame somebody else who didn't teach them before, or what? We should teach them, right? And so one thing, but the blame game happens, and I get it. One thing to remember, though, is 30 to 40% of our students don't take gen eds. They're called core students, so they identify as having greater than 30 credits on their online application. So they go from an entry point course to your class, your program course. we take up to 90 transfer credits. A lot of our students have cobbled together their gen ed experience and other things over a period of sometimes 15 or 20 years. And it's from all these different universities that didn't have an integrated curriculum and all this other stuff. So I don't want to pass all of the buck, but you can go in, if you're a full-time faculty member, you can go in to admin and see, did the student take EXP and other with you? Is there someone to blame? Maybe they were at another institution. Maybe they were at Phoenix, or maybe they were wherever else the student took the other courses. So I would say just teach them as best as you can. The other thing that I'd like to see, and this is the collaboration component, why don't we have more writing, research, modules integrated in the programs themselves? And that could be created with Doge faculty. It could be the same research module that goes into your courses. Why don't we have, if the student's not good at research, can we make them take Gen 103, even if they already have their information literacy competency completed? We could probably choose to do that as an institution if they need the research. The thing is, those are going to be big strategic initiatives that we'll have to change. But all of that content could live outside of the classroom. Gen 103 as a class is already created. Maybe we could have co-curricular activities for students who are really struggling in writing and things like that. So, are you integrating the writing institute, what is it? Writing center into your curriculum? There's a bunch of different things that we can do as an institution to develop those skills when students don't appear to have them.
Excellent, thank you. Anybody else want to talk about fundamental skills? It's more than just Doge's responsibility, right? That's a great message.
It's our responsibility too.
It's all of our responsibility. It's all of us. Okay, so how do you see the curriculum design process evolving as we go 100% digital and integrate more student support and engagement products in the classroom? Tony, can you kick us off on that one?
Thanks, Jeff. The first thing, when I saw this question, the first thing I thought about was the movie Good Will Hunting. Has everybody seen that? You have, Matt Damon's character, he has access to books, knowledge, and information that any of us could have. It's just how's that curated? How is that facilitated? And so one of the greatest, I believe, the greatest advancements in information and dissemination is that we don't own the information. Open educational resources and primary source information is available to almost anybody. So how does that impact what we do as far as curriculum development? I think, for me, it creates a more nimble and just-in-time process where we can modularize, that's a hard word for me to say, information and drop it in when something is no longer relevant or something is no longer applicable. And so what I believe is that the curriculum development process, and we know that there are certain things that happen from a back end that take time, and we need to be patient as we go through the process. But the actual content and the development can be, I don't want to say instantaneous, but it can certainly be a lot more flexible, a lot more rapid as far as deployment. And something that I think is going to benefit our students is that they are going to get the most up-to-date, relevant content that they can. And that's what I think is going to be a competitive advantage with a 100% digital initiative that we're going through.
Great. Anyone else want to speak to that? Great.
I'll add something. A number of our program chairs and faculty have been adding kind of news feeds into the individual courses that present some challenges, but nevertheless, that's content that's being delivered directly from them. Something else that we've been trying to figure out is how do we tap into all of the Forbes contributors. For those of you who don't know, Forbes Media has a bunch of writers, freelance writers that are writing on business topics on an ongoing basis. So, our leadership and our faculty have been struggling with this issue. How do we get that content directly into the classroom? Hopefully, in the near future, the technology that we have in Ashford to facilitate that.
Awesome, thank you. So, congratulations to the College of Health on your recent CCNE approval. What other specialized accreditation is underway for specific degree programs within the colleges?
Awesome. Our Masters of Healthcare Administration are looking in the new future, to actually the Commission on Accreditation of Healthcare Management Education, which is CAME. And when we talk about technology, there is 2 courses, MHA 691 and MHA 692, which will be synchronous. So we're very, very excited for that. The team is excited. And then the other one that we're looking for, which will be CEEF in the near future, which is the Council on Education for Public Health. So those 2 accreditations. And I'm going to leave it at that because I get too excited and I have too much fun up here. So.
Jorge, do you have any college Forbes School business?
Sure. I'll remind everybody that the majority of our programs are accredited by the International Accreditation Council of Business Education, which is IACVE. So I'll plug that. But in addition to that, actually our BA in Sports Rec Management is currently going through the process of the Commission on Sports Management Accreditation. So we're hoping to have a site visit sometime in 2019.
Awesome. Any other accreditations in college? Tony, I know you talked about certification.
Yeah, we continue to move forward. With our approval to the state of Florida to offer a teacher education program. We're hoping to expand that out through a master's program and eventually down the road embed that into an undergrad program. I have a team of educators right now at the National Association for Educating Young Children's Conference in DC. And so they are attending a workshop on NACCE recognition, which is huge for us to be recognized by NACCE. Just a little, information regarding our early childhood programs. We are, depending on your data source, the largest provider of ECE degrees in the country. And so having that recognition will certainly help us moving forward. We also we have a partnership with the Council for Professional Recognition for a CDA. It's the CDA, gosh, and it escapes me, but it is the recognition for child care providers to be in preschools. And so we are moving forward and looking for different avenues for accreditation.
Fantastic, exciting. So what advice do you have for an associate faculty member who wants to become a full-time faculty member? Eric?
Sure. Well, patience is one virtue. There has to be obviously openings that align with your interest and your experience. But there are 3 things that come to mind. I mean, I think the most important is to be, as I mentioned earlier, be a distinguished instructor. Do an outstanding job in the classroom, and you will get noticed by the dean that represents your college as well as the full-time faculty. There was a period of time in 2013 where we hired a good number of full-time faculty, and many of them were associate faculty at the time, and how they were recognized and moved forward often in the interview process was because they were known as exemplary faculty members. So that's the first thing I would say. The second thing I would say is for our full-time faculty, in addition to being outstanding teachers, which we expect them all to be, we also expect them to do other things at a high level, and usually those things are either related to scholarship or to service, and service can mean service to Ashford University or service to your professional field or perhaps service in your community. So particularly in the area of service, be thinking about ways that you're involved in your communities, in your profession, and when opportunities arise to participate in things at Ashford, please do be involved. And then finally, I would say that the third thing that you can do, and I'll just highlight, I mean, TLC is a 3-day event, and it's wonderful, but Morgan Johnson and Kate and the entire CETL team, Center of Excellence in Teaching and Learning, put on outstanding events and professional development learning opportunities throughout the year. And I would encourage anyone who's happy being an associate faculty member, but also is interested in striving toward being a full-time faculty member, to please do attend as many of these events as your schedule permits. Continue to learn more about how things operate here at Ashford, both inside and outside the classroom. And I think the more you're engaged with the institution, the more you're engaged with CETL, And again, on top of, being, like I mentioned, an outstanding teacher, I think those are the types of things that would put you in a position to, be prepared for a full-time role.
Excellent advice. Anything to add to that? All right. So our last question, perfect timing. Gosh. How do faculty get more courses to teach? And can you explain how priority scheduling works?
Can I defer to someone else?
Justin usually can rip on that one pretty good.
And I'll start off by saying that the norm, for all the faculty out there, the norm is that you teach one course at a time. So there's not a lot of faculty out there teaching multiple courses. The second thing I would say is that, like Eric said, it's important to focus on teaching. Well, how do you focus on teaching? How do you improve being a teacher? As many of you know, there's an IQR process, or instructional quality review, that you get on an annual basis by one of our full-time faculty members. Focus on that feedback. Make sure that you are providing instructive feedback to your students. Make sure that you are fostering critical thinking within the classroom. Make sure that you're holding students accountable for high expectations. So that's number one. You want to look at that. That should be your go-to on how to improve as a faculty member. Obviously, your end of course survey feedback from students, that's always helpful as well. With respect to priority scheduling, what is that? It's a little bit complex, but in essence, what it is a process that we have in place to identify the best performing faculty. How do we do that? We gather metrics. We're a data-driven institution, so we look at 3 specific metrics. We look at the IQR scores, as well as the end-of-course survey, as well as the faculty development associate score. Each of those 3 data points provide some insights to our program chairs and faculty, full-time faculty members that advise our schedulers on who should be enrolled in teaching. So there's a lot of details there. But I can tell you that the IQR score, that's the one that's most heavily weighted, and it's about 50% of the 3. But at the end of the day, that's just those are just data points and a guide that program chairs and faculty use. At the end of the day, they make the final determination as to who should be in the classroom.